From roasting Pete Davidson's dad who died in 9/11 to his face.
This is not the roast of Pete Davidson's father. That was in 2001.
To brutally destroying a heckler.
Fatty boom batty blubbernaut. She's so fucking fat, when she fell down the stairs, I thought EastEnders had finished.
And totally tearing someone's career apart.
I looked it up on the internet and Google said, me either.
These are Jimmy Carr's most savage comebacks. Starting with the time he absolutely cooked Peyton Manning. Carr started by acting clueless about American football, then casually dropped a crazy roast.
I'm told Peyton Manning is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in his family.
Then he went straight for Peyton's face with zero mercy.
You look like if a kid with Down syndrome wished he was big.
Peyton just sat there smiling through it, knowing there was no comeback coming. Speaking of surprising shifts, the moment everyone lost it on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown came with Susie Dent. The moment everyone completely lost it on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown came from one single, wildly unnecessary Jimmy Carr line. Everything was moving along normally as he introduced Susie Dent, praising her for writing 14 books about word origins and politely pretending to respect her entire career.
Susie has written 14 books about the derivations of words, and you can find them all in your local library. Just ask for the Sleepy Go Bye-Bye section.
Then, without changing his tone at all, Jimmy casually asked what she'd been researching lately and immediately swerved straight into chaos.
Okay, Susie, what have you been looking into recently? Other than glory holes.
The timing was perfect. Susie, who's basically the show's most wholesome presence, just sat there stunned while the audience exploded. Her expression said it all. She definitely didn't see that one coming. That wasn't the only savage joke Jimmy made on 8 out of 10 Cats. The one about Michael Jackson was even more unhinged. While the world was obsessing over news coverage and people were sharing tributes, Jimmy treated it like just another headline. He didn't get sentimental or pretend to be sad. He just said exactly what he was thinking in that classic deadpan way.
For me, it's a little bit like when Diana dies. I couldn't give a
The crowd absolutely lost it. Everyone was cracking up at how casually he said it, like he couldn't be bothered by the drama at all. And if you thought his dark humor couldn't get darker, one of the most outrageous jokes Jimmy Carr ever wrote was about Africa.
If only Africa had more mosquito nets, then every year we could save millions of mosquitoes from dying needlessly of AIDS.
The audience went absolutely nuts when Jimmy dropped the Africa joke. Some were laughing so hard they could barely breathe. Others were shocked into silence.
Moving from one roast to another, Jimmy's roasts are the kind that hit fast and leave no room to recover. Even basic observations became weapons in his hands. He doesn't just go for easy jokes. He aims straight for the jugular with that perfectly deadpan delivery that makes even the nastiest lines land like comedy gold. In one roast battle against Christy Cielo, he wasted zero time taking a swipe at her career.
I was going to talk about Christie's career, but it's like trying to punch fog. There's nothing there.
The audience erupted instantly because, let's be honest, it's the kind of insult that's so over the top, it's impossible not to laugh. Then he doubled down with his internet burn.
I looked it up on the internet and Google said, me either.
Even when his opponents try to clap back, he's already 3 steps ahead, leaving the crowd in stitches the whole time. He doesn't waste a second thinking about comebacks. They come naturally. Yep, that comment nails it. Jimmy's burns hit hard while Christie's barely landed. And speaking of opponents, hecklers are something every comedian has to deal with, but no one handles them quite like Jimmy. During one show, a heckler came out swinging with a line so unhinged, it stopped the room in its tracks.
I laugh like an asthmatic seal fucking a donkey.
Even Jimmy had to pause for a second just to process it. The audience erupted, caught between disbelief and laughter, while the heckler clearly thought he'd just scored a win. But Jimmy didn't miss a second. He turned the moment around, completely catching the heckler off guard.
How do you know?
With a single line, Jimmy had completely turned the heckler's insult on its head. The audience went from shocked to laughter as they realized the joke was now on the heckler. Jimmy carried that same ruthless energy straight into his next target, Big Narsty. This might be one of the most chaotic roast battles yet. From the start, he wasn't holding back, taking shots at Big Narsty's size.
You're like the world's fattest toddler.
Then when Big Narsty started talking about what he did at the gym, Jimmy saw an opportunity and dropped a joke that left the crowd in stitches. He made simple observations into full-on punchlines. Exactly. Jimmy's on a whole different level. Like, you think you're ready, and then he just wipes the floor with everyone in sight.
What's your favorite machine? The vending?
And just like that, he was on to his next target, Andrew Tate. During one show, someone from the audience asked Jimmy what he thought about Andrew Tate, and he didn't hold back. Jimmy started by referencing a line from John Mulaney about Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is a poor person's idea of what a rich person is.
He used that as a launching point to roast Tate, pointing out how his persona is basically a caricature of masculinity.
Andrew Tate, to me, is a 14-year-old's idea of what a man looks like.
He turned the idea of Tate's alpha persona into something ridiculous, making it clear how over-the-top and performative it really is. He didn't overcomplicate the joke and let the words do the work. Speaking of comedy gold, Jimmy immediately turned to a heckler. During a show, he asked the audience about the worst gift they'd ever received, and that's when a heckler spoke up. The audience chuckled, thinking the heckler had landed a win. But Jimmy didn't see a victory. He saw an opening. He zeroed in on the man and delivered a line that immediately turned the table.
Toby's mum is so fat.
That was just the start. Jimmy kept going, escalating the absurdity while staying perfectly in control.
Fatty boom batty blubbernaut. She's so fucking fat, when she fell down the stairs, I thought EastEnders had finished.
The audience erupted, caught between shock and laughter. Jimmy turned a random shout from the crowd into one of the night's highlights. And just when you thought it couldn't get crazier, Jimmy pushed even further. School shootings are one of the most sensitive topics out there, and most comedians wouldn't even think about joking about them. But Jimmy Carr thrives on taking the subjects everyone tiptoes around and turning them into shock humor. In one line, he managed to push boundaries while making the audience flinch and laugh at the same time.
You know why so many American kids die in high school massacres? It's because they're not allowed to run in the corridors.
The setup is simple. He references a horrific reality everyone knows about, then twists it with a single absurd observation. He kept it short, but brutally effective.
It's clear Jimmy isn't afraid to talk about sensitive topics, and that's exactly why he brought up Pete Davidson's father during a roast. He prepared his joke carefully, so it landed exactly how he wanted. His father, Scott Davidson, was a New York City firefighter who tragically died during the September 11th attacks. It's something Pete has spoken about in his own stand-up.
You know, I lost my dad on 9/11. And I always regretted growing up without a dad. Until I met your dad, Justin.
But at the 2016 Comedy Central roast of Rob Lowe, Jimmy used it to roast Pete, who was in the room. At first, he was acting like he was sympathetic towards his father's death and criticized the comedians who made the joke in the first place, until he pulled the punchline out, and he knew exactly just how far he could push it.
Father made on 9/11. This is not the roast of Pete Davidson's father. That was in 2001.
The joke lands because Jimmy sets up the audience's expectations. He frames it like a serious warning about Pete's dad, then flips it with an absurd punchline. Yeah, even for Jimmy, that pause at the end felt like a moment where he crossed his own line. The joke landed, but you could tell he needed a second to process it himself. And that's a wrap on Jimmy Carr's masterclass in roasting.